10 weeks ago, we kicked off the second season of the Ray Esports Racing League presented by RaceVoice and Driver61 here on Apex Racing TV. And all the weeks that followed, we've seen glory, we've seen defeat, we've gotten some surprises, and my, have we seen some twisted virtual sheet metal. 100 racers and 6 rounds later, we've crowned our 3-season champions, and we'll meet them in just a few moments. But first, let's talk about tonight. We've got an expanded broadcast as our 3 classes, Spec Racer Ford, Pro Formula Mazda, and Spec Miata, or the Mazda MX-5s, will each partake in a winner-take-all dash to the checkered flag in the hopes of being named the Runoffs champ. And we've decided to put it all on the line at the National Park of Speed, the home of the infamous kink, Road America. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announce booth for this big night, as always, is Avery McDonald. And it just wouldn't be a broadcast, truthfully, if we didn't have Dennis Branch manning the controls. So Avery, the season started out at my old home, Summit Point, and these drivers have not looked back once. The season has been a great mix of some old favorite tracks and perhaps some new ones, but tonight we return to the Wisconsin Dells, and a track that most of our virtual racers should know very well. What are you looking for tonight in this, the Runoffs?
I'm looking forward to some great racing, but one of the things I'm really looking forward to, Greg, the new Spec Racer Ford, the updated version, new motor, different tires. I mean, this is going to be tough. I mean, it's something we haven't seen yet. Maybe these drivers have a little experience with this new Spec Racer Ford, but it's going to tell, man. I'm just excited for this Runoffs, because last time we were here for Runoffs at Indianapolis, it was another fantastic night, and this is going to be another good one.
As a matter of fact, I went back earlier today to look at, watch some of that broadcast, and yeah, there was some amazing racing that night. But Avery, you mentioned here Spec Racer Ford. Now, they're out for their qualifying session right now. As you can see, open qualifying, 15 minutes in length. And tonight's races, they're going to be a little bit longer than they were during the regular season. They're going to be 25 minutes in length versus the 20 minutes that we ran during the regular season. And the Spec Racer Ford drivers, they were not with us for the last event of the regular season, although we have 9 weeks. Each one of our 3 classes only races 6 times over that entire time span. And the Spec Racer Fords, the last time they raced, we were still working with what was known as the Gen 2 car, using the 1.9 liter old iron block Ford Escort motors, using an H-pattern 5-speed gearbox, using tire models based on the old Goodyear bias ply tires from the very early 2000s. And then last week, iRacing does an update, and it has changed things considerably. We now have the Spec Racer Fords updated to the Gen 3 spec that racers have been running in real life for the past 3.5 seasons now. The 3.5 real seasons, not virtual seasons here. And some major changes. A smaller motor, a 1.6 liter motor, but it's all aluminum, and so the car is much, much lighter. The car has bigger brakes. The car has tires that are actually based not on almost 20-year-old Goodyears, but about 4-year-old Hoosiers that are actually still in use today, and not bias ply, but actually radial DOT-approved slicks. And perhaps the biggest change, and this is somewhat exciting here, Avery, because actually the real-life cars, although they're we've got some drivers out in the wild that are testing these pieces out. They have not made it into the real-life spec yet for competition, but the virtual version of the Spec Racer Ford now has a 6-speed sequential transmission. And most likely the real-life cars will get them probably next season, but in going from a 5-speed H-pattern to a 6-speed sequential, now these drivers have very different gear ratios, gear spacing that they have to figure out. And not only that, because these new smaller engines make a lot more power, they're much lighter, these cars are considerably faster than they were just a few weeks ago. And I would suspect, as we're looking at the lap times right now, Tyler Campbell with the opening salvo here of a 2:28. We're looking at lap times that are probably somewhere between 5 and 7 seconds faster than the Gen 2 spec was here around 4 mile, 14 turn Road America. All right, so as we watch here, again, we've got qualifying underway. We've got sitting at the top of the leaderboard right now as we're just about halfway through the session. Morgan Burkhardt, driver the number 40 All Sports Racing Team Machine. He is currently your fastest driver on track. He's got about a 0.6 of a second advantage over Tyler Campbell. And Avery, this is a big change. We're seeing Tyler Campbell here this evening running in Spec Racer Fords. He has shown over the course of this season on the eSports Racing League to be a specialist in the Pro Formula Mazdas, but he has actually gone and he's teamed up with Morgan Burkhardt and Jamison Huffman and Murphy Nichols, and he's looking very strong in the Spec Racer Fords.
Oh yeah, he's looking really strong, and he said it before that the Spec Racer Ford and the Miata isn't quite really his thing, but he's sitting second on the board right now, and I would have to say it is kind of his thing. Take a look at the fastest time in the Spec Racer Ford in the old car. You're looking at a 2:32.752. That's by Daniel Sadro. So yeah, it's about 4 seconds differential between the new car and the old car.
Yeah, and I think as these drivers get more used to the cars, and they were out for practice a little bit earlier, but as they get a little bit more acclimated to that 6-speed transmission and the gear spacing, I think we'll start to see the times perhaps come down just a little bit. All right, so Avery, let's take a quick look here. Of course, as we mentioned last week, we wrapped up all of our season battles, although the Spec Racer Fords had actually wrapped it up 2 weeks ago. Let's take a look to see how our drivers finished up in the season championship. It was admittedly not so close up at the top of the field, but as you moved back down just a little bit, got pretty tight here. Your Season 2 champion in Spec Racer Ford, presented by RaceVoice, Stevie Ray, with 126 points, had 1 win on the season. Morgan Burkhardt, who is currently, I believe, your fastest driver on track in that number 40 machine, finished 14 points back, did not have a single win all season long, but still finished second in the points. Jamison Huffman, though, with 2 wins on the season, finishes third with 95 points. Zach Burke, who finished third at the Runoffs last season at Indianapolis, he finished 4th in the points in Spec Racer Ford this season, also with 2 wins. So a bit surprising that the drivers with the most wins, they actually finished up in the points 3rd and 4th. And we'll make a quick shout out to the driver who finished 19th overall in Spec Racer Ford. He's not going to be on the screen there as you look for him. That is Reed Shannabrook. He actually took the 6th win and finished 19th in the points. He started with us about 3/4 of the way through, actually I guess 2/3 of the way through the season, and ran 2 rounds with us, and I believe that he is here with us tonight. Matter of fact, we're looking at him right now on the screen in that the Alfa Romeo Ford, the number 14 car. He's currently running 3rd here at Road America in qualifying, as we have just about 3 minutes remaining. So congratulations to our season champion Stevie Ray and all those that raced with us this year. And again, tonight, those points championships, those points battles, they're all out the window. They don't matter. It is just a 25-minute run for all the glory here at Road America.
Oh yeah, it's definitely cool to come to the Runoffs here at such an iconic track at Road America, Greg, where, if you had a bad points races, a couple of them that really kind of moved you down the standings, like you said, slate's clean, come to this race, gonna try to win the Runoffs. If you can win this race, that's a pretty big accomplishment. Either it's a Spec Racer Ford, the Pro Mazda, which is, it's a farewell race for the Pro Mazda, or in the MX-5. So this is the race that all these drivers want to win, because you want to say you've been able to win it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we're following right now on track here Jamison Huffman, driver of the All Sport Racing number 89 car. And you can see he's sitting down all the way in 15th. Again, he finished 3rd in the season points battle. A little bit of a surprise to see him that far off the pace right now. We'll see if he can move his way up. We know that he does share setups with Burkhardt, with also now with Tyler Campbell as well, and so I would expect to see him move up. And there you go, as he crosses the stripe, he is now only 2/10 off of his teammate Morgan Burkhardt, now second fastest in the field here. And you see here we've got about 15 cars that have gone out so far for qualifying. We don't have a time in from Andrew Wozencroft as of yet, although I believe that he is on track. And also Joe Camilleri out of Canada. Joe, a H Production Volkswagen Scirocco driver by nature, and he is also out on track, so we hopefully will have a time in for him in the number 06 machine. And Wozencroft also hopefully will have something in from him soon enough in the number 80 machine. Just saw a photo that Mr. Wozencroft posted online. He just came away with a podium finish in Spec Miata out at Sonoma Raceway this past weekend, and I'd like to think that he got a little bit of that experience racing here with us on the Ray Esports Racing League. So congratulations to Andrew, as we have quite a number of the racers here with us, Avery, that do race in real life, many of them with the Sports Car Club of America, many others with some other organizations, but quite a bit of real life and virtual racing talent here with us this evening across all three classes that we're going to have running.
Oh yeah, I mean, what's going to be really cool is you're going to see some names here, like Morgan Burkhardt, James Huffman, Stevie Ray, Murphy Nichols. I'm going to guess Buttermore and maybe Joaquin Effinger are going to do every single race tonight, and that's just going to be, I mean, I don't know how they do double duty, Greg. But
yeah,
tonight
but
they got the opportunity to do triple duty.
Yeah, that's going to be rough, that as soon as they finish up with one race to jump into another car, go in for qualifying, and then head back out. There we go. There's Andrew Wozencroft for a brief second. And also, as we now have the checkered flag out, and these last flying laps here will count, wanted to mention Wozencroft finished 6th in the points battle for the regular season championship, and his average starting position was 12th. And so, you know, some people, maybe they don't qualify all that well, and Wozy right now sitting 13th, so right around his average starting position. But you know, some people, and I'm one of those people as well, you know, I race much better than I qualify. So we'll see if he can move up, and you know, we'll actually talk about that a little bit later, because I think it's actually even more drastic in the Mazda MX-5s, as we have Brendan Horn crossing the stripe to finish his qualifying session. And we should have, looks like we've got just a few drivers that are left on track. We should have them gridding up here in a few moments. There's Bryce Evans in the number 311 machine. He's currently sitting 12th as he crosses the stripe, or he's coming to cross the stripe. Let's see if he can move up from that 12th position, move up on the grid. And no, he does not best his time. He had a 2:31.66 going into that last lap, finishes with a 2:32.77. So he will start 12th today in the final race of the season here at the Runoffs at Road America, the National Park of Speed.
Yeah, still about 1:40 left on the iRacing timer for qualifying. You know, being a little bit longer track than normal, the timer for qualification goes just a little bit longer, which is, I mean, totally okay with this track, because with 2:28, it's about the time you're seeing from Morgan Burkhardt, and I don't believe anybody's actually on a flyer lap, so there we go. We got somebody. There we go. Checkered flag.
We go. Wozencroft finishing it up, and there we go. Now crossing the line, and I believe that was the 06 of Joe Camilleri completing his last flying lap. Camilleri's going to start in 15th.
And just under a minute to go in qualification for this runoff. And One thing that I've really been looking forward to, Greg, is how is this new car going to adapt with the toe? Because a little quicker, and this is the perfect track to
Oh, yes.
to learn. I mean, you got straights, you got everywhere. I mean, it's really
You've got a whole bunch of 90-degree turns tied together by some very long straightaways. And now, so the fiberglass bodies on the Spec Racer Ford going from the Gen 2 to the Gen 3, they did not change at all. So whereas these cars were and have been in real life and also in the virtual world, really been built for the draft, that should not change at all, other than the fact that these cars are going to be going that much faster and getting pulled along all that much faster as well. But you should see very much the exact same racing that we've seen all season and for the past number of years on the iRacing platform. The only difference, it's going to be quite a bit faster. All right, so we've got our drivers lining up here on the grid, and Avery, look at this. It's going to be the iRacing, the full pace lap, all 4 miles of it. So we could start and speak very, very slowly as we go and run down our starting grid for Spec Racer Ford. So we'll start off here, and on the pole today, driving the number 40 machine, representing All Sports Racing, it is Morgan Burkhardt, his teammate, driving the number 89 machine right next to him there, 0.2 of a second off of Burkhardt's qualifying time, Jamison Huffman. Then making up row number 2, Tyler Campbell from Draught Racing will start on the inside of row number 2. Reed Shannabrook, one of our race winners this season, will start on the outside of row number 2. Row number 3, it is stacked. We've got Stevie Ray, long-time Spec Racer Ford driver, race winner here, and our season champion. He will start 5th. Right next to him, long-time real-life Spec Racer Ford Gen 2 and Gen 3 racer Sandy Satullo. Starting row number 4, representing Smoketown Brewery, it's going to be Murphy Nichols with Brennan Horn in the Team eSport Racer machine starting 8th. Mikey Taylor in Riding Shotgun Motorsports number 66 will start on the inside of row number 5 with Anthony Carbone Jr. starting right next to him in the number 16 machine. Then your 6th row, Edgar Sanchinelli driving the number 257 Frito Sport Racing Team machine. Good to see Edgar here. We had a race last night with another series, and I got word that he had a blue screen of death on his iRacing rig. Looks like he's gotten that squared away, and he's with us here tonight. Bryce Evans driving the red and black number 311 machine. He will start on the outside of row number 6, starting in 12th. Let's move over to row number 7, where we've got Andrew Wozencroft in that number 80 machine. He's going to start 13th with Joaquin Effinger right beside him, starting in 14th. Then we've got Joe Camilleri and Wayne Buttermore starting on row number 8. And then finally, rounding out the field, John Casey. Unfortunately, looks as though actually Anthony Carbone, Sandy Satullo, and Murphy Nichols may not have made the grid. So we'll see here as the pace car Avery brings the field now around the famous carousel here at Road America, and then making that run down to the kink. The carousel here, it doesn't look like much. It's just a very wide, open, sweeping turn. But it is so difficult to keep speed up, to keep the power down, and keep the car from understeering off the track and into the gravel trap to try and set up for this gut-wrenching corner here, the kink.
Yeah, it's a very important turn, because if you have a bad carousel, as you'll notice on your screen, this is a very, very, very long straight. And if your corner exit just is not very good, you're going to lose so much speed, and you're going to get past like you're sitting still. And that's something, I mean, I don't know what it feels like, because I'm usually never at the possibility to have cars around me, but these drivers know what it's like to have cars around them. So yeah, get a bad carousel, and that could be game over, because if they pull away by a couple seconds, you're out of the tow.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said it, coming out of the carousel, it is nothing but one long straightaway as you go through the kink and all the way down through the kettle bottoms into Canada corner. As we've got the pace car now bringing the two teammates, Morgan Burkhardt, Jamison Huffman, up into the final corner, turn 14 here. They're going to start up that very, very tall hill onto the Road America straight here. The pace car now with a hard right into the pit lane, and our pole sitter Morgan Burkhardt now has the field. He is there. You can see him on the left. Driver's right coming up the hill. In just a moment, we will have a green flag. And to start, the green flag is now out. And look at this jump as Reed Shannabrook pops out from the second row, goes and splits our front row drivers, and he is your leader as they head down into turn one. Morgan Burkhardt is going to try and outbrake Shannabrook, though, going into one, and Shannabrook is going to yield the position as they go through. We see Jamison Huffman now side by side with Shannabrook, and we've got Tyler Campbell, our pro Mazda specialist, sitting right back behind. And look at this, Jamison Huffman off track into the gravel trap on the exit of turn number 3. He's going to fall all the way back to the rear of the field as Morgan Burkhardt, Reed Shannabrook, Tyler Campbell, and now Brennan Horan start to make their way down the moraine sweep, heading over to that hard braking turn 5. They're going to drop down the hill. There you can see the brake markers, and then head into that very difficult turn 5, Avery.
Speaking of big movers, that's Wayne Buttermore. He's up 9 spots, make it back down to, now it's down to 3 spots. But Brennan Horn off to a great start in 4th. You see that's Wayne Buttermore right there, and the purple and green.
Yeah, he went off Mikey Taylor in the number 66 machine. You saw that he went driver's right under braking through turn 5 and took the runoff on the exit. And so the field's starting to stretch out just a little bit here. I should mention that we've got that great battle going on between Wozencroft and Effinger. I think the only thing missing right now is Wayne Buttermore. Those 3 drivers seem to be perpetually joined at the hip, as you can see here now as they start to make their way through that big sweeping carousel. But let's jump back over to the battle for the lead, as we've got Morgan Burkhardt in the number 40 All Sports Racing machine with Reed Shannabrook right back behind him, and then Tyler Campbell now in the 37. There you go. He's also sporting those All Sport Racer colors here this weekend. He is now up to 3rd with Brennan Horan, and our season champion Stevie Ray right back behind. And not to be missed there is Bryce Evans in the red and black 311. He's right in that lead pack as well, but Avery.
Yeah, Bryce Evans up 6 spots. I mean, putting on a really good run. And we'll see if he's able to make some moves. But take a look at Reed Shannabrook. Had that really awesome start going through the front straight to try to take over lead. But man, Morgan Burkhardt was able to hang on and do a really good job. We'll see if Shannabrook's going to make a move. He's got a big toad. He's going to say, I want to take this lead, but wasn't able to get at the line. We'll see if he'll be able to hold it through turn 1.
Yeah, now let's take a look here as Tyler Campbell and Burkhardt working together. Campbell, he's picked his teammate to try and push him right back to the lead, and Morgan Burkhardt looks like he can hold on to the position from the outside there, with Campbell not able to push through. Let's move back just a little bit to Evans, who we saw go off just a little bit earlier, and Edgar Sancinelli. Sancinelli's made up a number of positions as well. He's up 4. Started 11th, now in 7th as they start to make their way. And look at this, side by side, making the run down to turn 5, down the moraine sweep. We've got Morgan Burkhardt and Reed Shannabrook, and it looks like the problems continue for the 66 of Mike Taylor as he went off at turn 3. And we have a new leader, and it's Tyler Campbell. Looks like he gets around Morgan Burkhardt, and he got around Reed Shannabrook. But big changes there. Oh, and it looks like the number 80 of Wozencroft goes around at turn 5. There he goes as he's trying to get back underway here. But Stevie Ray now, move him up into 3rd. He got around Reed Shannabrook as well. But I don't think that battle is over yet, as we've got Brennan Horn in the number 45 machine sitting right back behind them as well. Oh, and we saw one driver drive off. Looked like he went almost straight off. That was Tyler Campbell off at turn number 8, out at the exit of the Hurry Downs, and looks like he now is he falls all the way back into 7th position. Let's take a look at the replay here as our leader Tyler Campbell has issues coming down into the hurry downs into turn 8. Locks them up, and look at that. Looks like he just maybe had the brake stick on him a little bit. Had some issues there with braking, and then I think we had the 311 car follow him in for another time as he went off as well.
Yeah, real unfortunate for Bryce Evans in that 311, who was up the 6th spot. And, he's in pit road right now, so just unfortunate for him. But I just want to big shout out to Stevie Ray, able to work his way to the lead. He's got Shannonbrook, Burkhardt, and Brennan Horn. And Brennan showing a lot of speed. He got challenged last week, and he was up to the challenge, and he's up to it again today. He's up into 4th place, and he's got to try to run down Shannonbrook, Ray, and Burkhardt. As you see, Shannonbrook makes the overtake on Stevie Ray, but Stevie Ray puts down the quickest lap of the night so far.
Yeah, and so Avery, we started this off. You were asking what the effect of the draft would be here, and you can see it is strong. Reed Shannonbrook is just, it looks like 2 out of the last 3 laps has just been literally sucked up the hill, and just has such a head of steam. But as soon as you pull out from behind that car right in front of you, it's like hitting a brick wall. So there we go, and we're watching now Joe Camilleri in the 06 machine. He is now up into 9th position. Joe picks up 6 spots, and back behind him, John Casey picked up 7. But let's take a look here as our former leader, Tyler Campbell. He's got real-life Spec Racer 4 driver Sandy Satullo in the 07 machine. Now pretty much nose to tail as they come down into 5th. Probably not 5th, into turn 5, as they're now trying to make their way back up to our lead pack, and they've got a long way to go, Avery, but I think if they stay and continue working together, they could probably draft up. It looks like not all that much of an issue getting up to Sancinelli in the 257 car, as we had another driver go off, and that was, look at that, Reed Shannonbrook goes off at turn 8, and Avery, what is that? That's like the 4th or 5th car we've had go off at the hurry downs now.
Yeah, I'm running out of fingers on my hand how many cars have driven off in turn 8, and I tell you what, it's a tough corner. You're going uphill, and you gotta get on the brake and make a nice turn, and if you got someone behind you, I can kind of sketch you out a little bit. And I have a feeling that's what's kind of happening. Is Campbell, when he went off track, had a car right behind him. Shannonbrook went off track, car right behind him. So maybe they got a little nervous, and they weren't calm and ready for when turn 8 came on. So just we'll see if we see it again, because it's a track corner that's very easy to turn off. According to Brennan Horn, there is oil in turn 8.
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility that there's something down there. It also looks like right now Shannonbrook doesn't have the best handling car out there, as he's trying to get around Edgar Sancinelli now and get back up into that lead pack. Shannonbrook is now running in 4th, but he is running a distant 4th from Brennan Horn. As we jump back to the battle for the lead, we've got Morgan Burkhardt and Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray showing the nose as they come down, and let's see here. We've got all of our the teammates. We've got Jamison Huffman, who went off on the very first lap. We've got Campbell, who went off on the 3rd lap, and then we've got Edgar Sancinelli, who's trying to take advantage of both of those drivers to see if he can move up into 4th position.
Yeah, the SRGs, they had a rough start, but they're able to work back together. Take a look at Sandy. Just get into that bumper and pushing Tyler Campbell. Just, pushing him, using that bump draft. And we go up to, look at Shannonbrook. He's getting bump draft by Edgar there in that 257. And Edgar tried to pull a little fakey and was trying to get Shannonbrook to go off track. But here's the opportunity to go off track. We'll see if Shannonbrook can make it through.
Yeah, and it looked like Sancinelli there really overslowed going into 5 from the inside there. Maybe had a little bit of an issue working the downshifts in that sequential gearbox, but really lost a lot of ground to Reed Shannonbrook there on the exit of turn 5 as we jump back to the battle for the lead, as Stevie Ray has gotten back around Morgan Burkhardt. And, we're only now, just about just about 40% of the way through this 25-minute sprint. Again, Stevie Ray is your leader. Morgan Burkhardt running second. Brennan Horan sitting back in third. He's about 4 seconds back from our leaders. Then Reed Shanabrook and Edgar Sancinelli. Then we've got Jamison Huffman, Tyler Campbell, Sandy Satullo, Joe Camilleri, and Andrew Wozencroft rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, usually it's a 20-minute race, but for these runoffs, like you said earlier, Greg, it's 25 minutes. So is that really going to change anything? I don't think so. But
yeah, I was gonna say, as far as strategy goes, I don't think the extra 5 minutes, especially here at Road America, that is essentially another lap and a half here at this track. It doesn't really change. It doesn't really change the strategy all that much. But one of the things here is, as you watch, and you can see this as Huffman, Campbell, and Satullo, they have been very good about working together, not trying to make the overtake going down into turn one. And you can see that they are now starting to draft up towards the back of Shanabrook and Horan. So things are definitely closing down there, and we may have a 4-car or 5-car battle actually for third soon enough as we jump back over to the battle for the lead as Morgan Burkhardt has gotten back around Stevie Ray. They come out of turn 3 and start to make their way down that very long marine sweep. And I'll tell you here, Avery, as they make the run now down towards turn 5, one of the coolest things here at Road America is there is actually a speed trap with a big sign just to the inside here, just to the inside of the apex. So all the folks that are sitting in the stands can see the speeds of the cars coming down the hill, and it's pretty cool to watch, especially when some of those cars. Oh, and we've got a car dead stick there right in the center of the track, and that is Brennan Horn. Let's take a look at the replay here as he comes down under braking going into turn 5, and what happened that he just ended up at a standstill there. It's like he just locked up the brakes.
I'm guessing the screen went black.
Yeah. That's the only thing I could think of, because that just looked like all 4 wheels locked up and not something that would have happened. And there he is on the pit lane. That's unfortunate, as Horn had been running in 4th position, but that now moves. We now have Tyler Campbell and Jamison Huffman along with Sandy Satullo now moving up another position, and they are starting to close things down. You can see here on Edgar Sancinelli and Reed Shanabrook. So what would have been the battle for the last position on the podium now may be the battle for, well, certainly for the last spot on the podium. But if these drivers can stay together and start working together and not, not battling it out, they could conceivably make it back up to our leaders, Burkhardt and Ray. They are still about 8 seconds back, but it is possible if they work together. But here is the battle for the lead with Morgan Burkhardt and Stevie Ray as they come up the Road America straight, now side by side, going underneath the starter stand. And you're going to see it here again as Stevie Ray now, with the benefit of the draft, moves ahead of Burkhardt. And I would suspect that they would do that lap after lap, but there you go. Burkhardt carries a little more speed through turn 1, and for the moment they're side by side, but Stevie Ray manages to hold him off.
Yeah, that second pack, they need to work together, because the more they battle, the further away Burkhardt and Stevie Ray are going to be. And according to our last lap times, everybody's about 2 seconds slower except for Jamison Huffman, who ran about the same time as the lead pack. So, I mean, if you want to catch up, you got to work together, and then you got to hope Ray and Burkhardt go side by side. And I know from what I've seen with Stevie Ray, he'll probably just let it float around for another couple laps.
Yeah, and it looks like Ray is content to do that, but Morgan Burkhardt being very aggressive. Oh, and we have another driver two drivers that go off there, and I believe that was Casey and also Joaquin Effinger. Pardon me, no, Joe Camilleri, who's not running, doesn't have the cleanest of cars there, and looks as though the 73 machine of Buttermore goes off again as well. Not the best couple of complexes there for those drivers. But we jump back over to Burkhardt and Ray. And yeah, you know, again, I think Ray is kind of content to just kind of go for a couple more minutes and make sure that, you know, they have the advantage over the rest of the field. And Burkhardt just does not seem to want to play wingman at any point. He's not very content sitting in second, and as soon as he gives up a position, say under the draft on the front straight, he pushes the issue going down into turn one, as we now have Tyler Campbell getting around Edgar Sancinelli. But you can see those two drivers now, along with Sandy Satullo, they are now right up with Reed Shanabrook, and there you go, Jamison Huffman, who went off on the very first lap, fell all the way back to the tail end of the field. He is now up to third as he gets around Shanabrook. And then Satullo and Campbell working together, and once again, on the front straight, the driver that was in second position coming into turn 14, he pulls to the inside, tries the draft on by, and they're going to go side by side through turn one, and it looks like Stevie Ray able to hold off Morgan Burkhardt for the moment. I would suspect, though, Avery, that as they make their way down the Marine sweep, Burkhardt's going to try to outbreak Stevie Ray going into turn 5.
Yeah, about a second differential between first and second and third, Jameson Huffman. Huffman was about a second quicker. As you see the side-by-side action between Burkhardt and Ray, and that could shrink that battle up. But with just over 10 minutes to go, or just under 10 minutes to go, I mean, there's always a possibility, and that's why you never give up if you're sitting at third, 8.5 seconds back from the lead pack.
All right, and word from Brennan Horn that he had a critical wheel failure, and he's just happy he didn't ruin anybody's race there. Again, sorry to see that, as he was running fourth, having a great run. And you know, he locked it down to make sure that he didn't cause any issues for any other drivers. And you know, again, sorry to see that, and I'm sure that's going to cause some issues. Probably won't be able to join us for some of the other races, but hopefully he gets that repaired, and we'll see him out for either the Pro Mazdas or the MX-5s a little later tonight, as we now watch the battle here for third. We've got Huffman, Shanabrook, Sandy Satullo. You got Tyler Campbell and Edgar Sancinelli only a couple car lengths back from there, as we now have just about actually about 8 minutes remaining here in this 25-minute sprint. Again, reminder to everybody that we do have 2 more races tonight. Next up will be the Pro Mazdas, and then we'll finish up the evening with the Mazda MX-5s as our leaders now come into Canada Corner. Also, if you like what you see here tonight, of course, we're going to be back with more racing on the RaceSports Racing League and Season 3 in just a few weeks. But if you like what you see, go ahead, please give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, go and subscribe to Apex Racing TV and click on that notification bell so you can find out about all the great virtual racing offerings that Apex Racing offers. You can also subscribe to our social media channels on Twitter, on Facebook, and also on Instagram. All you've got to do is search for Apex Racing TV. And Avery, look at this as they come down the Road America straight 2 by 2, or is it 1 by 3? As looks like the number 14 car, Shanabrook, getting caught out there as the 2 teammates and Sandy Satullo just draft on by into turn 1.
Yeah, just too low. Just and around he goes.
Yeah, Sandy Satullo carries a little bit too much speed through turn 1 after making that late pass on Sancinelli to rear end, steps out on him, and he now falls back into 6th position as Jamison Huffman in the number 89 car, who had been running up in 3rd that last lap, he now falls back to 5th with the action there on the front straight. And Shanabrook and Huffman now side by side, trying to find a way past Tyler Campbell, who is your new 3rd place runner. And look at this, Shanabrook, lots of braking issues going into turn 5. He runs wide into the overrun there, and he's going to lose 2 more positions. Reed Shanabrook, race winner this season, and he now drops all the way back to 7th as we have just 6 minutes remaining here at Road America. Let's take a look at the replay, Avery.
Ray, Burkhardt, We've been saying this every lap, and man, look at that move by Stevie Ray.
You know, and there you go, and look at that. Stevie Ray, much like Sandy Satullo, runs wide on the exit of turn 1, and that gives Morgan Burkhardt not just a lead, but a substantial lead over Stevie Ray. We'll have to see how strong that draft is if he can make that ground back up. As we jump back now to the battle for third with Jamison Huffman and new teammate Tyler Campbell, with Sandy Satullo about 2 car lengths back. And, you know, little bit of a surprise here to see Huffman all the way back up into third after having that early off very first lap going around at turn 1. And, you know, Tyler Campbell, one-time race leader, now sitting back trying to find his way onto the last podium spot here in Spec Racer Ford.
Oh, Stevie Ray.
And look at that, Stevie Ray does find a way back up to Morgan Burkhardt. The draft is strong, young Jedi, and he is your new leader with Morgan Burkhardt running in second. We've got now just under 5 minutes to go. So about 2 more laps here, almost, I would say almost exactly 2 laps, depending on the speeds. If they drop it down into that 228 range, we may get 3 laps. But we'll see here as we have Huffman and Campbell battling it out for the last spot on the podium now. Sandy Satullo about car length and a half back from there. Also, Avery, wanted to once again thank our 2 great sponsors that have been with us now for both seasons of the eSports Racing League. We've got Driver61 and then the sponsor of this race, RaceVoice, with great products for both the real race car and the virtual race car. RaceVoice can give you audible feedback as to what your real race car is doing and hooks in with both AIM and Motec data systems. And they've got something very similar for the virtual racing world. Check them out at racevoice.com as we see that battle first off for the lead between Ray and Burkhardt, and then a little bit further back Huffman, Campbell, and Satullo, as we now look side by side going down the front straight. The very twisted fiberglass here of Joe Camilleri. Right beside him, Wayne Buttermore in the number 73. It looks like Buttermore can carry a little bit more speed down the front straight there and through turn 1 as well, as this 3-car battle for the last spot on the podium has not abated yet.
Now keep in mind, you know, with this battle for the final spot on the podium and the battle for lead, you want to be that, from what I've noticed so far, you want to be that second car in line if you can time it coming out the final corner on the straight. So we'll see if they're going to play some games here on the last couple laps.
And here comes game number 1 as Tyler Campbell comes through driver's right. He's got the preferred line going into Canada corner. Can he get up close enough to Jamison Huffman? Pops over the curving at the apex just a little bit as they now come up Bill Mitchell Bend, still side by side, but this is where the car drivers left would have the advantage, and Jamison Huffman holds on to 3rd position with Campbell and Satullo right behind. And now, since both Campbell and Satullo, they are close enough as they make their way up the Road America straight, you're going to probably see those 2 cars fan out as Avery. We are indeed now on the very last lap here at Road America. We saw that white flag in the air. I'll tell you, given when they crossed the stripe, I still think there might be 1 more lap. I think the guy in the starter stand was maybe a little bit premature there. Oh, and look at this, Tyler Campbell. He goes around Tyler Campbell at the exit of turn number 1. He loses the rear end of the car as he now makes his way all by himself under the Briggs & Stratton Bridge in 6th position. As we jump back now to the battle for the lead, Morgan Burkhardt, Stevie Ray, Burkhardt in the white number 40 to the inside, driver's left, going down under braking into turn number 5, and he retakes the lead from Stevie Ray as we have, well, we either have half a lap or we have 1.5 laps to go. We'll have to keep watching the clock because it was very close when they crossed the stripe, but Morgan Burkhardt in that number 40 machine, he is your leader. I think the question, Avery, is going to be how strong is the draft, and as if Stevie Ray can stay right on Burkhardt's tail coming out of 14, would he have enough momentum to get by him before the start-finish line?
You know, from what I've seen earlier, I think that's a good possibility. You know, you get that towed, you get a good run because you don't. I mean, straightaway or excuse me, start finish line is just far enough away that you can able to pull out on exit the corner and still probably make the overtake. But we still got this very long backstretch to go. We'll just have to wait and see. But I mean, don't count out Stevie Ray because if you've seen him the
Yeah,
last
and
last 10 weeks, he
and
can get it
Avery,
done.
look at this, and it looks like Morgan Burkhardt blinking out just a little bit there. He got
Woo.
very defensive, came down the inside driver's right, coming out of the kink to hold off Stevie Ray. For a moment there, it looked like Stevie Ray was going to try to go too wide through the kink. Definitely thought better of it, got back in line, and as they now come through turn 14, starting to make their way up the Road America straight for what looks to be now the very last time, as the clock now hits 25 minutes. Checkered flag is waiting for the driver that crosses the line first. Is it going to be Stevie Ray? Is it going to be Morgan Burkhardt? And Stevie Ray at the line takes the win. Our season champion in Spec Racer Ford takes the Runoffs win. Burkhardt will finish second. Jamison Huffman works his way all the way back up to the last spot on the podium. Sandy Satullo will finish in fourth. Reed Shannabrook in the number 14 machine. He will finish in fifth. And now as we wait for our final drivers to come by, there's Edgar Sanchinelli. He will finish in sixth position in that number 257 machine. Then we've got Tyler Campbell. Andrew Wozencroft making up 5 positions in the number 80 machine. He will finish in eighth position. Then Mike Taylor, who had all those issues early on in the race in the number 66 machine, he will finish ninth. And Wayne Buttermore, good run for Wayne as he now comes up through Bill Mitchell Bend. He should, as long as he can hold it nice and steady there, he should bring his car home in 10th.
Yeah, what a final race for the Spec Racer Ford this season. I mean, side by side finish between Stevie Ray and Burkhardt, and I want to give major props to Burkhardt. He ran him clean, didn't try to block. Just says, hey, it's gonna be side by side finish. And you know, if I win it, I win it. If not, you know, I don't. But man, what a race by him.
Yeah, it was a very tight, very clean race from both Stevie Ray and from Morgan Burkhardt. And again, they raced clean, and certainly no blocking, and lots of changes in position. You know, unfortunately for Morgan, and we saw this almost every time, you know, his desire to lead during the majority of the lap was to some extent his downfall, because we knew that every single time they came out of 14 in the lead, the car in second was able to draft on by. It was just going to be a question of whether or not that car that was sitting off his six would have the momentum to pass him before the start finish line coming up that very steep hill. And now we know the answer, as Stevie Ray takes the win. All right, so let's go, Avery, and it looks like we have our podium finishers here. Let's start off. We're going to bring in our third place finisher in Spec Racer 4, driver the number 89 machine, and that is Jamison Huffman.
And Jameson, congrats on a great race. Yeah, you know, you kind of fell off towards the back a little bit in the beginning, but you had a nice hard charge up to third. Take us through the first league race with this new Spec Racer Ford. How was the new car?
The new car, it has a nice and a lot of mechanical grip, but no matter which way I tuned the setup, it never really wanted to kind of fix the understeer a lot through the kink and through 7. So it was a lot playing around with what I could do with my feet to try and fix that. But other than that, man, I love this car. I love the update that they had to it.
Oh yeah, I think Greg can allude to it. We had some just fantastic racing. You know, the toe worked well, able to make passes and also defend. Uh, it just was they just did a superb job. I know we're probably running a little short on time, but before we let you go, James, anybody like to thank?
I'd like to thank my mom and my dad for letting me race. Uh, Morgan, Tyler, the new addition, Tyler, to the team. So Morgan, Tyler, Murphy, JC, everyone on the team for doing practices with us, running it quick, and Stevie for setting this all up.
Absolutely did a great job representing that spec racer, Greg.
All right, there you go. That was Jamison Huffman finishing second, or probably finishing third tonight in Spec Racer Ford here at the Runoffs. So let's bring in our second place finisher, Morgan Burkhardt.
Morgan, man, I tell you what, Greg and I were talking about this new car coming in, and we didn't know how much that tow was going to affect, but I tell you what, that battle between you and Stevie Ray, I mean, if you could take clips from like the whole half of that race when you guys were just going side by side, I mean, that's what this series is all about. Good, clean racing, and just kind of put into perspective on how great it was to run against Stevie for that last couple laps.
Well, it's always a lot of fun when you get to race someone that close, especially at a track like this. Honestly, the draft is ridiculously powerful here. So even when you try and work together, it's quicker to just swap positions on the straight and have each person have the toe on every different straight. But yeah, that's something that this league has. Is just the clean, tight racing at pretty much every race, no matter who you're racing.
Yeah, we noticed you guys do that little swap. That was really helping you pull away because I think some of the times you didn't swap, second pack was starting to catch up. But we just you said farewell to the old Spec Racer Ford a couple weeks ago, and now we're saying farewell to this Pro Mazda as they move to the Formula V. Take us through this. What do you think of this Pro Mazda coming up at Road America?
Well, I think the Pro Mazda will be easier to, I guess, run away. The toe, I don't think, will be as powerful. But I'm sad to see the Pro Mazda go. It's a lot of fun to drive. But at the same time, I'm kind of happy that we're going to the Formula V because that thing is so much fun to drive.
Awesome. Well, Morgan, we'll see you in the race a little bit. It's qualification time, so we better let you go so you can get a time in.
All right, thank you.
All right, there you go. Morgan Burkhardt, driver of the number 40 Spec Racer Ford. We'll see him in just a few moments in the Pro Mazdas. And let's bring in Avery, our winner tonight, Stevie Ray.
And Stevie Ray, you and Morgan and, well, pretty much that whole field put on a show for these fans with this new Spec Racer Ford updated car. Just take us through that race. I mean, how exciting was that for you?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy for a while. It was back and forth, and the four of us or so for a while, and one by one, it kept weeding down to where it was just Morgan and myself, and then we just played leapfrog for a while and back and forth, and kind of seeing where we had each other, and just trying to work it out. That was good. This car is really good. Couple of my mistakes. I'm still used to that H pattern, and going into turn one, I go from fifth and I pull back to fourth, and to downshift on this, you have to push forward. And I screwed up my shift a couple of times going into one, but
Yeah, we talked about that before the race, that, how these drivers going to adapt to the ones that did the H pattern and move to the sequential shifter. And, like you just said, you're going to make a couple mistakes just because of the nature of the beast. But, man, Steve, what a fantastic series. What a great runoff. I know we got a lot of great people that help support this league. If you want to give them a big shout out.
oh yeah, Greg Hubler has been my partner and doing a lot of this stuff, and RaceVoice for supporting it for a couple of seasons now. You guys getting Greg on board and yourself, Dennis in the background. It's all a really great group. And then you said you can't do it without the guys on track every week. That's what makes the league great.
Yeah, Steve, you guys just did a great job. Got great drivers, and it's a blast to watch. And I know Greg and I are looking forward to this Pro Mazda race coming up. Once again, congrats on the win, Steve.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Putting an exclamation mark on his regular season win. There you go, Stevie Ray taking the win tonight at the Runoffs here at Road America in Spec Racer Ford. All right, so everybody, as we mentioned, we've got 2 more races coming up. Next up is going to be the Pro Mazdas. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to get set up for that race, and we'll be back here in just a few moments from Road America. You are watching the Runoffs for the Ray eSports Racing League's Season 2 from Road America, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
And we're back here at Road America for the Ray eSports Racing League's Runoffs, we'll call it the National Championships here. And next up, as you can see on your screen, we've got the Pro Mazdas. We're just about 11 minutes into this 15-minute qualifying session. John Vogel, currently your fastest driver on track, with the 2 teammates, Burkhardt and Huffman, 2nd and 3rd, and then, well, we'll make it the 4 teammates, because we've got Tyler Campbell and Murphy Nichols. He's back as well. Don't know what happened to Murphy during the Spec Racer Ford race, but he's with us here for the Pro Mazdas. We've got John's brother, Grant Vogel, down sitting in 6th with Andrew Wozencroft, Edgar Sancinelli, Effinger, and Casey as well. And so Larry, what am I saying? Oh my gosh, there we go. Avery, as we are, we've got our Pro Mazdas out on track here for qualifying. Let's take a look now and see how the season championship finished up. As we run down here, Tyler Campbell, who we saw during the Spec Racer Ford race and currently is running 4th fastest. He's got something to prove. He was your regular season champion in the Pro Mazdas, took 5 wins out of 6 races. Morgan Burkhardt, the only other driver to take a win this season. And talk about a commanding win here. 45 points separating Campbell and Burkhardt. John Vogel finishes 3rd, another 11 points back from Morgan Burkhardt, then Vaccaro, Buttermore, Wozencroft, then Antonio Guarda, Thortullo, John Casey, and Joaquin Effinger. Casey and Effinger both tied with 62 points, tied for 10th, only 1 point off of Thortullo in 8th. a great season in Pro Mazda. Maybe not the size of the field here that we have and see in the Spec Racer Fords and the Mazdas, but some great strong running and some very exciting races over the course of the season. If we look back to the championship, the runoffs last season at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Miles Crabb took the win. Tyler Campbell, he finished second, so obviously he's looking to move up here and not only take the season championship, but take the overall championship here at the runoffs as well. And Jamison Huffman in the number 89 machine qualified for the moment in third. He finished third at the runoffs at Indianapolis. So we'll see how things play out for these drivers here, as we now have just a little bit under a minute and a half left to go in qualifying.
Yeah, you take a look at some of the names in this session: Morgan Burkhardt, Jameson Huffman, Tyler Campbell. Well, Murphy Nichols dropped connection earlier, but Effinger, John Casey, Wozencroft, Edgar Santinelli. I mean, most of these, and Wayne Buttermore, they ran the race earlier, so they're jumping in from a new car that they got a lot of time in the Spec Racer Ford, but now with the new car. And then they go into this Pro Mazda, two totally different cars. You're talking about 22, 23 second differential in lap times, Greg. So they're going to have to really adjust and get ready for the 20
points
25
are
minutes.
different. The turn-in points come up at you a lot faster in these cars than they did in the Spec Racer Fords, and it's going to make for a lot of excitement there as our drivers try to very quickly adjust to a very different environment here, as we're on board right now with John Vogel, driver of the number 1 machine, and he is your provisional pole sitter with just about 10 seconds left on the clock. This will be his final flying lap as he comes out of the hurry downs, goes underneath the Speedville Bridge, which in iRacing is just marked as the Road America Bridge, but it's the Speedville Bridge, and then making his way down to the kink. We'll see if he can improve upon that time of a 2:03.959. Right now has almost 2/10 of a second on Morgan Burkhardt, but never hurts to expand that out just a little bit. Go and put your thumbprint on it as they get ready for the race here. Again, a 25-minute dash to the checkered flag for our Pro Mazda racers.
He's got some help there.
Yeah, getting a little bit of a toe from Wayne actually, that is Joaquin Effinger in the 700 machine that came out of 14, and you can see there Vogel trying to get that draft coming up the hill. Every little bit helps, and that time by, he turns in, talk about consistency. Well, he turns in a 2:04.94. That is almost a full second off of his previous best time. Again, that provisional pole lap, and we still do have a couple cars out on course. A 2:03.96. We'll see if Tyler Campbell in the number 37 machine, and you can see him there trying to get a toe off of Murphy Nichols. If Campbell can move up in the order, again, 5 wins out of 6 rounds, and he is currently sitting about a half a second off of our provisional pole sitter as Murphy Nichols runs wide on the final corner here. Tyler Campbell does as well. He's going to lose a little bit of time there as they come up the hill, and as Nichols and Campbell cross the stripe, do any improve? No, they do not. Tyler Campbell, he is going to start on the outside of row 2. All right, so Avery, we should have the field now starting to get gridded up. And again, another long pace lap here at Road America. Why don't you run down the starting grid?
Well, starting in that first position, the fastest of the 2 Vogels in qualifying, that's John Vogel out of the Plains. Morgan Burkhardt, we talked to him earlier, and he's like, hey, this is going to be fun. So that's Morgan Burkhardt in second. Then Jameson Huffman had connection issues in the SRF race earlier, but he's back in action for the Pro Mazda. Then our champion, Tyler Campbell, he's won a lot of races in this Pro Mazda, but he's going to come off in 4th. And then Murphy Nichols, 5th. Grant Vogel in 6th. Andrew Rosencroft, 7th. And then the Frito Sport Racing Team, number 257, Edgar Sancinelli in 8th. Joaquin Eppinger, 9th. Wayne Buttermore, always good to see Wayne out here. Fun to watch him race. He's got the bright car and always a pleasure to watch. Then you got John Casey. We'll see if Jordy Fike and Kyle Vallejos will make the grid. If I'm a betting man, they're not going to make the grid.
Yeah, and didn't have qualifying times from either one of those two drivers. So it looks as though it is probably going to be an 11-car field. We're still waiting for the Vogel boys to pop onto the grid here, and once they do, we should have the pace lap getting underway. So the number 1 machine, the number 3 machine, still yet to make their appearance. There is John Vogel, our pole sitter. And here we go. There is Grant Vogel. And so we should have the pace car starting to lead the field out here in just a moment. We're gonna give it a little more time to see if Jordy Fike and Kyle Vallejos show up, and no, they don't. So the pace car now brings John Vogel and Morgan Burkhardt down underway for this 4-mile, 14-turn pace lap. Again, want to remind everybody that this race is brought to you by RaceVoice. Again, some great products and offerings for both the virtual racer and the real racer. You can find out more about those offerings, such as their ability to give you instant feedback in your headset as to how your car is performing and whether or not what you're doing is optimal, or maybe perhaps a little bit suboptimal. With that audible feedback, you can find out more about the products at www.racevoice.com. And as Stevie Ray mentioned, I want to thank them for sticking with us here for not only season 1 but season 2, and hopefully it's going to be a partnership that lasts for a very long time here, as we've got the pace car bringing the field down the Marine Sweep. One of the fastest parts of this 4-mile, 14-turn Road America track. Avery, interesting here. The track is just about exactly 55 feet wide. The track surface is 55 feet wide, almost around this entire facility, and it has not changed. The layout has not changed one iota from the time it first opened, and you can't say that for almost any other road course here in North America. I was just up at Watkins Glen this past week. Of course, the boot was added in 1971, or probably the boot was added in 71 there. The bus stop, what was known as the inner loop, was added after some very unfortunate incidents in 1991. But here, Road America, the National Park of Speed, built into the land to replace the original actual street courses in Elkhart Lake, and it has not changed since the early 50s.
It opened in 1955. It's not like this is a track that's a couple years old. It hasn't changed, like you said, since they built it, and that's really cool that they can maintain history, and people of all ages can go, hey, I remember this race in this corner, and it might have been 40 years ago, and they remember it. So that's one thing I like about tracks that don't change. Even though when tracks do make a change, it can be for the betterment of the races. But Road America, the National Park of Speed, beautiful trees, such a fun track to drive. I mean, even though if you junk it, you got to drive back around for another couple minutes to get to where you're at. But
that's right.
Such a fun track. We had a great race, earlier in the Spec Racer Ford, and this is the final race of that Pro Mazda. For this, Race Sports Series, because Formula V.
You kind of alluded to it, and I guess we can mention it and make it it's official for season number 3. We're going to be moving on from the Pro Mazdas, and iRacing has just added one of the lowest cost formula cars there is, the Formula V, based on the 1300cc motors, Super Beetle motors from the early 60s, and they are great fun to race. Everybody who's gotten behind the wheel in iRacing has absolutely loved them, and they continue in club racing, in Sports Car Club of America racing, to be the most popular of the Formula Car classes. All right, so we've got the pace car now on the pit lane, and John Vogel, our pole sitter, he has the field Morgan Burkhardt sitting right to his side as they come up the hill. And there we go, green flag is in the air, and Jamison Huffman tries to, not Jamison Huffman, Tyler Campbell tries to make an early jump. He's bottled up a little bit behind Morgan Burkhardt. Jamison Huffman comes up all the way down the inside. We've got John Vogel pinned to the inside, but he is the first car through turn 1. Then we've got Morgan Burkhardt and Jamison Huffman. Huffman continuing to push the pace from the inside as the two drivers go side by side into turn number 3 onto the Marine Sweep. So drop John Vogel, our pole sitter, now back in the second. Morgan Burkhardt is our new leader. Jamison Huffman sitting in third. Tyler Campbell, our season champion, is sitting in fourth, and he is side by side with the number 5 machine of Murphy Nichols. And now going into 5, and you can see here as John Vogel goes very wide through 5. And Avery, my understanding is there was a bit of a change in iRacing to actually allow the drivers to go a little bit wider there on the exit to 5. And you can see there that Vogel really widened out that and opened up the
Buttermore. Oh, I think Buttermore went around.
Yeah, there he is over at turn 7 on the entrance to the Hurry Downs. Wayne Buttermore goes around and he hits the wall, and he is in the pit lane trying to get that repair done as our leaders now come out of the carousel. We're looking there. There's the Frito Motorsport, Frito Sport machine of Edgar Sancinelli. But let's jump up to the lead here, where we've got Jamison Huffman. He is our new leader. He's gotten around Morgan Burkhardt, his teammate, and they are looking to hold Tyler Campbell off. Tyler Campbell now technically one of their teammates as well, with our pole sitter John Vogel sitting back and forth. Brother Grant in 5th. Then Murphy Nichols, Andrew Wozencroft, Sancinelli, Effinger, and then John Casey rounding out the top 10.
Big shout out to Jamison Huffman. Oh, he's going to have to hold up Burkhardt. But Huffman, going into turn 1 of the first lap, had an opportunity to make a very aggressive move, and he backed off. And I think that was the right move for him, because he's still able in the top 3. So Burkhardt overtakes Huffman, and Campbell right on that gearbox. The teammates are 1, 2, and 3. The Vogel brothers are 4 and 5.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Huffman maybe has started to have some flashbacks from the opening lap of the Spec Racer Ford race, where he went off into the gravel trap on the outside of turn number 1. Here, as you mentioned, though, Burkhardt, Huffman, Campbell starting to separate themselves out. Again, in the regular season, Campbell with 5 wins, Burkhardt with 1 win out of 6 rounds. So we know where those strengths are. But again, just a few months ago, at the conclusion of season 1, Jamison Huffman finished on the 3rd step of the podium at the runoffs at Indianapolis. So none of these drivers know, they all know how to get on the podium. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know. It already, Avery, I'm at a loss for words here with our pro Mazda drivers.
You can borrow mine.
Thank you.
But yeah, like these,
I'm taking
like you said,
donations.
Yeah. I mean, Venmo. Like you said, though, like these drivers who know how to get on the podiums, they happen to get on the podium quite often, and it's not out of luck. They put in the time and they practice and they get better, and that's just kind of what you try to do every single race. Just get a little bit better than you were before, and just a little baby steps. You're not trying to take a big giant leap for mankind. So.
Exactly. All right, so as we watch the drivers here, if you remember when we were talking to Jamison Huffman, and Morgan Burkhardt running wide at the final corner at 14. He's going to give up the lead to Jamison Huffman. We'll see if Campbell has the momentum to move over and come and draft past Burkhardt. They are now side by side going into 1, and Campbell makes the pass before they even get into the braking zone of 1. So move Burkhardt back into 3rd. Then we've got John and Grant Vogel running 4th and 5th. But as that happened, I was going to say that during the interview when we talked to Jamison Huffman. He mentioned that he didn't think the draft was nearly as strong in the Pro Mazdas here at Road America as with the Spec Racer Fords. And of course, these drivers, they've got the wings all trimmed out to increase their speed. And there you go, coming down the Moraine sweep. Jamison Huffman, he gets around Tyler Campbell. Morgan Burkhardt gets around as well. And now both Huffman and Burkhardt side by side as they go out of turn number 6 as they came underneath the Corvette bridge, and then they come down the Hurry Downs, and sitting dead center of the track, Jamison Huffman. We'll see if Burkhardt can do anything about that. And look at this, Tyler Campbell, he's just trying to figure out where he can place the car and get a little bit of breathing room there.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room there. They're driving so close to each other, and you can fit these top 6 cars under a blanket. That's how close they are. You've seen it in the carousel with Campbell and Morgan Burkhardt, and I tell you what, Greg, they're running so close to each other. So much skill within this whole entire field, and it's being shown today as Morgan Burkhardt is leading.
Yeah, and Burkhardt now makes a move down the inside going into Canada corner, drafts on by Jamison Huffman, and then we've got Campbell and Huffman now side by side as they come up Bill Mitchell Bend, but Huffman manages to hold off the number 37 machine. Now it looks like having a little bit of an issue there. Look at that, going off for the set. This time Jamison Huffman goes wide on the exit of 14. Last time it was Burkhardt, and now Tyler Campbell smelling blood as our 3 leaders starting to come up onto the back of some slower traffic here. But there we go, the 40 of Burkhardt, your leader. Campbell now moves up to 2nd. And as we were I was talking about, looked like Murphy Nichols was having some issues, but now move Nichols into 5th. Huffman, our former leader, drops all the way back to 6th after that off onto the final corner.
Yep, still an opportunity for all these drivers to show their moves. We're only 7 minutes into this race, Greg, and I was kind of calculating it out earlier. We're going to expect, I'm going to say 13 laps about what we're going to get. So we'll see if that's what's going to be the case, but it's Burkhardt in the lead. But we're back at Murphy Nichols, who has put down some very, very quick times, and they're just sitting there in 5th place. He's in a great spot behind the Vogel brothers, and then his teammates up in front of him. So we'll
yeah, that last time by ran a 206 flat, faster than any of the drivers, or not any of the drivers, but faster than both Burkhardt and Campbell have run to this point. It should be noted that both John Vogel and Grant Vogel have put in identical 204.82s here, so definitely capable of faster lap times, but need to make their way up to the front of the field here as we watch now as Nichols and Huffman are side by side right back behind Grant Vogel, who's fallen off just a little bit from John as they come out of Canada and come up Bill Mitchell. And see, looking back there, just kind of hanging out. Andrew Wozencroft in the number 80 machine. He's starting to make his way back to that lead pack.
Yeah, that pack has been just battling like crazy, and that allows Wozencroft to catch up. If you would have told me before the race, 8 minutes into this, that you could fit 1st through 6th place within like 2 seconds, like I'd be like, no,
yeah,
no
I would have
way.
been. I would have doubted you every single time here, as Tyler Campbell still kind of just sitting back. And I think, from watching Campbell, and we've seen him race like this before, he's always looking at the long game, and I'm sure that he wants to work with Burkhardt to try and move away from the rest of the pack, especially now that they've lost Huffman as well. But as soon as I say that, Tyler Campbell moves to the inside. If he can hold on there coming out of turn 5, he will have the lead, and he does as they come up the hill to the Corvette bridge. And now Jamison Huffman getting around Grant Vogel, so move Huffman up to 4th. But, ooh, look at this, going around our pole sitter, John Vogel goes around, loses the car, hits the wall. He is now in the pits, and his day, essentially, Avery, is now done. Let's take a look at the replay.
Yeah, John Vogel, as Brennan Horn said, there might be a little bit of oil.
Yeah, and there you go. Rear end of the car steps around, coming out of turn number 6, and he goes right into the wall, driver's left. It's not an uncommon sight at Road America, Avery, but it hits John Vogel hard here tonight at the runoffs.
Yeah.
So our pole sitter is now out. Our leaders, once again, Morgan Burkhardt, Tyler Campbell, and then we've got Jameson Huffman with John Vogel in that battle for third. And let's add, well, I was going to add Murphy Nichols into that, but I don't think so anymore, as Murphy Nichols takes a hard hit coming through turn 14 into the tire wall. His day also now appears to be finished.
Yeah, that, and just Murphy Nichols, hard hit into the tires, and like you said, his day is finished. And it's a, you know, just an unfortunate thing for him, but this battle for second is still on fire. But what's allowed that to happen? Tyler Campbell.
Yeah, look at Tyler Campbell now, already with almost a 2-second advantage over Jameson Huffman, as Morgan Burkhardt had some issues as well. And Burkhardt now, you know, I keep losing track of who's the lead of those two cars, whether it's Huffman or whether it's Burkhardt, because every time I turn around, one of them has an issue at turn 14. And so it is now Huffman who's made his way back up. He was in 5th at one point. He's now in 2nd. Morgan Burkhardt, who was in the lead, now sitting back in 3rd with Grant Vogel very close behind. But Avery, Tyler Campbell, our regular season champion, took 5 wins out of 6 rounds, and he is already out now to, look at this, almost a 2.8 second advantage just in the span of a little bit more than half a lap.
Yeah, what a run so far for Tyler Campbell, able to, you know, find his way up to that spot, and that's just a big gap, and he's got to be able to maintain a decent pace. But Morgan Burkhardt trying to send it in on Huffman, and he's going to switch back. Oh, not quite there. Was able to get a good enough exit, was Burkhardt. And the nice thing about that pass is we know they want to race hard every single lap, so watch out for James Huffman to get a run as he gets a little, what, the best corner exit
there. Yeah, a lot of push
Look at that front
there
wing.
for Huffman. Missed the apex by about a car width and a half there, and definitely gave Vogel an opportunity. We'll see if Vogel pops to the inside, and he does. But Huffman goes to cover, comes back across. You know, if I were a steward, I don't know if I would approve of the move that Mr. Huffman made there, making 2 moves, going to the right and back over to the left to cover Grant Vogel. But no harm, no foul, no loss of car, and we continue on as we are now just a little bit under 15 minutes into this 25-minute race. So still a lot of time here at Road America. Again, reminder to everybody that we do have one more race coming up after this. It will be probably our largest field of the evening in the Mazda MX-5, so definitely make sure to stick around. And of course, if you like what you see here tonight, please go ahead and click on that thumbs up, and then go and subscribe to Apex Racing TV, and you can find out about all of the great programming that we have here on the YouTube channel, also on Twitch TV as well, by clicking on that notification bell. You can also find out about all of our social media offerings on Twitter, Instagram, and also on Facebook by searching Apex Racing TV, all one word.
Yeah, I tell you what, make sure you're subscribed, and I got that notification bell set to just pop off when I get a broadcast that's on, because if I'm not doing anything, I'll tune in. Got a lot of great people behind the scenes, great people calling the races, and they're a blast to watch, even if you don't know anybody racing in it. So just like you've seen today, how good the Spec Racer Ford race was, this Pro Mazda race is really good, and we got another one coming up. But 15 minutes into this race, Greg, and yeah, you know, Campbell's pulled away, but there's still a good battle here for second place with Burkhardt Huffman and Grant Vogel.
Oh my gosh, there is absolutely here as they continue to make their way down. Now working lap number 8 here, and you said you think this is probably going to run 11 laps, and I think, yeah, you're probably just about spot on there as Grant Vogel now goes wide coming out of turn 1. He's going to lose ground to both Burkhardt and Huffman. We'll see if he can make it up again. We've seen that the draft here with the Pro Mazda is not nearly as strong as for the Spec Racer Fords, and he now falls back almost 4 car lengths from the 2 teammates from Burkhardt and Huffman as they come down the Marine sweep into turn 5, and Huffman for a second there, he's going to try and now break Burkhardt. They're going to go side by side through 5, which is already one of the slowest corners here at Road America. And Avery, you know, they keep doing that. They're going to let Grant Vogel right back into this battle for second.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, you keep going side by side like that, and you got a guy like Grant Vogel behind you who's fast. He's a real fast driver. Yeah, he's gonna catch up soon. But from a fan perspective, I want them to keep battling side by side every time they can. Make a nice 3-way battle, and it could potentially happen. But Burkhardt's able to pull away a little bit. But here's the problem for Burkhardt: Huffman still has his toe.
All right, as they make the run down the Kettle Bottoms, that long run through the tunnel of trees into Canada Corner, and you can see there almost identical lines through the corner here. We know that the 2 drivers go and share setups, and I will bet that now having Tyler Campbell as part of that team probably helps them immensely in getting setups ready in these cars for Road America here. As we jump back to our leader, Tyler Campbell hasn't really stretched out that advantage again after just almost half a lap of getting around Burkhardt and Huffman. He had stretched out the advantage to about 2.6 seconds, and there it has lied, it's something like that. But I think at this point, Campbell just putting his head down, trying to run consistent laps, try to manage the gap back to Burkhardt and Huffman. And as long as those 2, oh, look at this, Grant Vogel, who was sitting in 4th position, he goes around coming out of turn number 3. And so he now is going to lose another position. He's going to lose it to Andrew Wozencroft as Burkhardt and Huffman now side by side through 5. Burkhardt has the position. He came down driver's left on the inside. He gets around Jamison Huffman, so move Huffman now back into 3rd. Burkhardt with a little bit of breathing room there for a moment. But again, every time those drivers go into a corner side by side, Tyler Campbell stretches things out just a little bit more.
Yeah, the gap's the 3 seconds, and the last lap for Campbell is actually about 0.2 slower than Burkhardt and Huffman, but that's just not enough for.
Yeah, and again, I think Campbell is just he's just managing the gap at this point where he is right now is certainly doable. I think he showed us when he originally got around Morgan Burkhardt what his true pace is, and he can certainly turn it on when he needs to.
Yeah, I tell you what, Greg, though, I mean, Burkhardt, Huffman, this battle for second, and I know Jamison Huffman, and I know Morgan Burkhardt. They want.
And now Jamison Huffman drops a wheel on the outside of 14. He ends up tapping the tire wall on the inside. He now loses a lot of ground to Morgan Burkhardt. He does not lose a position yet to Wozencroft, but Wozencroft is making up ground awfully quickly here. He's going to be in the tow in just a moment, going down under braking into turn 1. And you can see there where Huffman, a lot of damage to the front wing as he impacted that tire wall. That is definitely going to make for a car that does not like going in the corner, is going to understeer. If anything, though, the advantage that Huffman has is a lot of the corners here at Road America are a little bit slower. Again, 90-degree corners with not a ton of sweepers, but we're going to have to see how that car handles with the damaged rear wing through that big, wide open carousel. That might really present some problems for the number 89 car.
Whoa, Tyler Campbell.
And look at this. We said that Campbell was maintaining the gap. Let's go back to the replay and see what happened to our leader as he comes out of turn 5, heads up the hill to the Corvette Bridge. Does he have trouble at turn 6? And there you go. And he has the rear end come around on him. He locks it up just in time to keep from sliding off the track. But Morgan Burkhardt is the recipient of that mistake, and he is your new leader. Tyler Campbell, who had built up a 3-second lead, was managing the gap over Morgan Burkhardt, is now back chasing the rabbit and back in second place. We'll see as we have now under 5 minutes remaining here in this 25-minute sprint, whether or not Tyler Campbell can work his way back around, can cap off his championship winning season with the Runoffs championship as well.
Yeah, if anyone can do it, it's Tyler Campbell. He's shown it all season long. He's got speed, and he is in the toe of his new teammate Morgan Burkhardt. And just 4 minutes to go. Let's see if he's going to make a move. Here comes Tyler Campbell.
And Campbell moves to the inside, driver's right. He's going to try and hold off Burkhardt, maybe brake a little bit later, try to hold Burkhardt out, keep him from making that over-under, and he does. Tyler Campbell manages to hold on to the position, but now as they make the run under the Briggs & Stratton Bridge into turn 3, we saw Burkhardt trying to get up alongside Campbell into also one of its slower corners here, and now they make the run down to turn 5, down this long moraine sweep. And Burkhardt now, he's got position going down under braking into turn 5. You can see he's hugging the left-hand side of the track. And Campbell going to try and take the long way around. Campbell locks him up under braking going into turn number 5. And whereas he thought he might have had the advantage there by opening up that corner, he gets it wrong and he loses a little bit more ground to Morgan Burkhardt. He's going to have to try all over again as we have now under 3 minutes remaining. Good chance here with the drivers running times in the 2:04 range. We probably have 2 more laps to go, but we'll see here as the drivers make their way around whether or not they get that white flag this next time by. Campbell, though, you can see coming out of the carousel, Avery, he makes up a lot of ground on Morgan Burkhardt, carries a lot more speed through that complex.
Yeah, carried a lot of speed there, and I tell you what, you're looking at Tyler Campbell, season champion. Morgan Burkhardt wants to become the Runoffs race winner. I mean, second earlier today, I believe it was second place, and then he wants to get that big win here at Road America with this Pro Mazda. I believe we won't see the white flag. Nope, we still got this will be 2 more to.
Yeah, 2 more laps to go here at Road America. Don't have the white flag. Nope, there it is. There's the white flag as we've got just about a little bit under 2 minutes remaining, and these drivers have been running 2:04 laps, so we are on the final lap here at Road America in Pro Mazda. Your leader currently, Morgan Burkhardt, driver the number 40 All Sports Racing Machine. Then we've got Tyler Campbell in the black number 37 machine. He is running very close behind, had led up until a lap and a half ago when he got it all wrong over at turn 6. But now he's got the draft. He's going to try and come alongside Burkhardt. He outbraked himself the last time by. Let's see if we get that brake lock up this time by. We don't, but you can see he has trouble putting the power down, Avery, coming out of 5.
Yeah, I had a hard time getting the power down, but Tyler Campbell, he's still in the draft of Morgan Burkhardt. We got this long straight, the short straight, and then we have the little tiny, fun, hard carousel. So you got this carousel here. If Tyler Campbell wants to try to make a move at the end of this coming up long straightaway, he's got to get going now.
Yeah, and we saw the last lap, Campbell had a lot more pace on the exit of the carousel, and you can see here already he's making up a couple feet there on Morgan Burkhardt, but this is a very, very long run down the Kettle Bottoms towards Canada Corner, and you can see already Campbell is in the draft. It's whether or not Burkhardt is going to put him in a position where he can't make the pass, and Burkhardt sticks the car to the inside. He's got the position now coming up Bill Mitchell. Only 2 more corners to go here if Tyler Campbell is going to eke out the championship. The Runoffs win here as they come through 14, the final corner. Remember, just 1 race ago, Morgan Burkhardt lost the drag race up the hill to the start-finish line. Is it going to happen again as they come down? And Tyler Campbell takes the win by about a foot. Margin of victory, 1/100th of a second. Actually, you can see it there on the timing pylon. 5/1000ths of a second. And for the second race in a row, Morgan Burkhardt, he is the bridesmaid to Tyler Campbell. Jamison Huffman works his way back up to third. He will take the checkered flag. Andrew Wozencroft in the number 80 machine. He will finish in 4th position, having made up 3 positions during the race here. Edgar Santinelli in the Frito Sport 257 machine. He will finish in 5th. John Casey 6th. Wayne Buttermore, last driver running here at the finish. He will come in 7th.
And Greg, we had another side-by-side finish coming to the line, and I mean, you wanted to be in that final spot, but I tell you, in the second spot coming through that straightaway, but man, I mean, you don't get much closer than that, Greg.
No, absolutely not. And Tyler Campbell, he timed it perfectly. I didn't think he got a good run out of 14, but the draft, again, not as strong as we saw in the Spec Racer Fords, but just enough. He eked ahead the nose cone of his number 37 machine, 5/1000ths of a second ahead of Morgan Burkhardt at the line to take the win. All right, so Avery, we've got our podium finishers all lined up in the green room. Let's bring in our 3rd place finisher, Jamison Huffman.
Hey, Jamison, congrats on another great run. This Pro Mazda at Road America definitely did not disappoint for the viewers, but take us through your race.
It was kind of just all out from the start. We all decided that we really didn't care if we finished. Like, we all wanted to finish, but we were all, like, me, Tyler, Murphy, and Morgan were all sitting in a Discord, and we were basically saying we don't really care too much for this race, so we're just gonna fight all the way through and not even try to run away at all. So, and then lost it sadly near about the middle because the setup we were running was pretty loose, but it was a bullet.
Oh yeah, it definitely showed a lot of speed. The whole team did, especially you, and then Tyler Campbell always shows speed, but it's good to bring a guy like him on your side that that's super fast and has a couple ideas on how to get around this track. But we got a different car coming up next with the Mazda MX-5. Are you ready for another round?
I am ready. Sadly, Tyler won't be joining us, but me and Morgan are gonna do what we can with no practice and go far and try and do a hat trick tonight with podium, but probably not, considering we both did 0 practice for this race.
Well, Jamison, good luck to you in that next one. We'll see in a little bit.
All right, thanks.
All right, there you go, Jamison Huffman. And Jamison now finishing 3rd on the last step of the podium for the 2nd race in a row here from Road America. Let's now move over to our 2nd place finisher, Morgan Burkhardt.
Morgan, when it comes down to the finish at Road America with either the Spec Racer Ford or the Pro Mazda, luck has not been on your side, but take us through that last lap with you and Tyler Campbell.
Well, I mean, it was definitely really close at the line. It's just going into the last lap, I knew I wasn't in the best position, so I was really just trying to defend quite a lot and see if I could keep him behind. And I knew he wasn't going to really go for the move going into turn 5 or going into Canada Corner. I knew he was going to wait for the final corner, and fortunately for him, I botched it pretty good.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, you said you botched it, but you got another opportunity to try to get the win. And a little birdie said you guys didn't get much practice going into this MX5 race. So what's your mindset going into this one?
Try not to die. I have not done any practice for it, so we're gonna see what happens.
Well, congrats on a great season, Morgan. We'll see you. We'll see you in this MX5 race in just a little bit. Good luck in qualifying.
Thank you.
There you go. There's Morgan Burkhardt, driver of the number 40 Pro Mazda. He's going to try not to die. All right, Avery, now we've got not only our regular season champion, but our runoffs champion, Tyler Campbell.
Man, Tyler, I was just telling Morgan that when it comes down to the final run to the finish in the last two races here at Road America, the luck has not been on his side, but the luck was on your side. Take us through that final couple laps against them.
Oh man, we were front grip loose, we were rear grip loose, going up the hill, nearly losing it. He had to apologize for me because he had to get out of it on one, and then, you know, just through every corner, you're like, all right, what's it gonna do this time? What's the draft gonna have? And it felt like sometimes I was like, I got a great run, and you're just not catching up enough to send it. Because if you send it, you could lock it up, you're gonna lose it, what have you. So it was really about timing. And yeah, for some reason we were having some crazy understeer issues coming out of the last corner as well. I mean, we're running all the same setups, but it was just odd. Some of those times you'd come around and just not get the angle right and catch that curb, and you're in the grass. But it was just real close back and forth. He's obviously really quick, been really quick all season, and so it was really really fun. It was really only mistakes that separated us by any more than a couple tenths.
Yeah, speaking of quick, and when it comes to quick, it's you and the Pro Mazda. And we said it earlier in the broadcast. We're going to the Formula V. Have you been able to take a tour around a racetrack with that yet?
I've done one 13th week race on Lime Rock, and that's all I've done of that. It was quick, so it seems like a real fun car to drive and just manhandle around at the speeds that you go. So I think I'll give it a shot, and we'll see where we go. I really like the fast stuff, but we'll see how it goes.
Tyler, it was a great season watching you race. It's cool to see you run that Spec Racer Ford earlier. I know you won't be here for the MX5. So before we let you, anybody like to thank?
I you know what? I thank you guys again. I know y'all come out. I love watching the races the next day. Get up in the morning and just have my coffee. Listening to Greg's sultry voice going on about it.
Thank you.
and I got my streaming mic in here, so hopefully it sounds a little better. But yeah, no, I love watching the broadcast. It's always great and exciting, just as exciting to watch as it is to drive. So I really appreciate you guys hanging around doing that for us.
Awesome. Congrats on the championship, Tyler. We'll see you next time.
I appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
All right, congrats, Tyler. There is Tyler Campbell, driver of the number 37 Pro Mazda, your regular season champion and your runoffs champion. All right, so everybody, we're going to take another quick break. We're going to get ready for our final race of the evening, and that is the one you've all been waiting for the Mazda MX-5s presented by Driver61. So hang tight. You're watching the eSports Racing League live from Road America, the runoffs, and we'll be back with you in just a moment.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Road America and the Ray Esports Racing League's Runoffs. We have just one more race tonight, Avery. And by the way, I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Avery McDonald. And, of course, we've got Dennis Branch bringing you all the great angles here from Road America. And we've got one more race left. It is Mazda MX-5s. We're just now about 12 minutes into this 15-minute qualifying session, and we have sitting at the top of the leaderboard right now Mitchell Peak. Good to see Mitchell back here and running with us, and good to see him up at the top of the leaderboard here. Jordy Fike, currently your second fastest driver, just about half a second back off of Peak's times. Then we've got Daniel McSelvey, who I think this might only be the second week that he has run here with us on the Ray Esports Racing League. Brennan Horn, he's made a return. So apparently the issues that he had with his racing rig and not terminal, he's here running at 4th fastest right now in the MX-5s. Then Reed Shannabrook and Jamison Huffman and Morgan Burkhardt, who, as they said, no practice time. So why don't we, Avery, take a look real quick, let everybody know how things played out over the 6-round regular season in Mazda MX-5. Taking the season win, the season championship, Jack Tranter. And I'm looking to see if Mr. Tranter is in the field tonight, and I do not see Jack Tranter. He came away over the season with 4 wins, 100 points. Jordy Fike, currently our second fastest driver on track, finished second, 11 points back with 89. Morgan Burkhardt, who's gotten a lot of airtime here tonight, Avery, he finished third in the points in Mazda MX-5, a good distance back at 64 points, but he had 1 win. Then we had Greg Mack and Charles Vaccaro very close, and actually things right in the middle of the order, very tight there. 58 points for Greg Mack, only 3 less for Charles Vaccaro. Brennan Horn, just 1 point up of the Wozencroft and Brockway, who were tied for 7th. Reed Shannabrook, just a couple points back from there. And Mitchell Peak, again, Peak, our provisional pole sitter, right now in the number 56 machine with a fast stop of a 2:32.9. He finished 10th in the points. but came away with a win this season. So certainly not unheard of, and we'll see how things play out. Now, I did mention, and we talked about this after the or during the the Formula, let's try this again, during the Spec Racer Ford race, Charles Vaccaro, who is currently sitting, where is Mr. Vaccaro? Is he not with us here? Oh my gosh. We don't have Charles Vaccaro. Charles Vaccaro, he finished 5th in the points with 55 points. His average starting position, 15th. All right, and then both Andrew Wozencroft and Greg Brockway, who finished in that tie for 7th, their average starting position, get this, 17th. And yet they ended up in the top 10 in points. Like I said, some people, they race a lot better than they qualify. And we'll see, and I don't think we have Mr. Brockway in the field, but we'll see how Mr. Wozencroft does tonight. We saw he got up pretty high in the order in the Pro Mazdas. He's currently qualified 12th. There is the number 80 machine, as we're going to see if Andrew can move up a little bit higher in the order here as he comes up the Road America straight, and you can see the checkered flag in the air as we hit that 15-minute mark. Does Wozencroft improve? No, he does not. He will stay for the moment in 12th as we have our final drivers on their last flying laps. I'm guessing that Bryce Evans probably will not be advancing on the basis of that last lap as he went wide coming out of turn 14. As we look at Bob Kucera and also the 257 machine of Sancinelli. Neither one improves. As we follow Joaquin Effinger on his final flying lap. Joaquin is sitting 17th right now in a field of 17 in the number 700 machine as he comes up to the final corner, up to turn 14. And let's see if he can move up through the field.
Yeah, big shout out to Effinger for coming into this MX-5 and always does a fun job. I mean, I tell you, I like purple. I'm a Vikings fan, so anytime I see a purple car, I'm like, ooh, cool, you know. And he was able to.
Yeah, unfortunately, Joaquin turns in a 239.53. That was his fastest lap. The only problem is it was his only lap that he got a time for. So he is going to start 17th, tail end of the field. And so we've got Jamison Huffman out here. And I don't know if he got out before the checkered flag flew. It looked like he had left the pit lane rather late, but we're going to see here as he makes his way up the hill towards the checkered flag. We'll see if he moves up in the order. He was running 6th, and well, 6th is where he will stay. All right, so we're going to have the field here getting gridded up, Avery, for our last race of the evening, our last race of season number 2 here from Road America. This is the Mazda MX-5 race brought to you by Driver61. Starting on the front row, your pole sitter with a fast lap of 232.90. Representing Team eSport Racer, it's Mitchell Peak. His teammate, Brennan Horn, will start right beside him about a half a second back. On the inside of row number 2, another teammate from eSport Racing, it is Jordy Fike with Dan McSelvey starting on the outside of row number 2. Then Reed Shannabrook will start 5th with Jamison Huffman starting 6th. Huffman's teammate Morgan Burkhardt will start on the inside of row number 4 with Bob Kucera starting 8th. Remy L'Esperance will start in 9th with Mike Taylor in the Ride-in Shotgun Motorsports machine, the number 66 car. He'll start in 10th. On the 6th row, Bryce Evans in the number 311 machine will start in 11th. Andrew Wozencroft will start 12th. And then right behind them, we've got Edgar Sancinelli in the Frito Sport machine in the number 257 car. He'll start 13th with Joe Camilleri 14th. That makes up row 7. And then row 8, Wayne Buttermore in the number 73 machine with John Casey starting right beside him, and then Joaquin Effinger. And if he makes the field, Murphy Nichols. And I don't see Murphy on the grid, and Murphy did not set a lap time. So looks like Effinger going to start 16th.
Yeah, no Baumgartner on the grid. He's not in the session anymore, so that's going to shake it up just a little bit. But, I mean, Greg, we had a great race in Spec Racer Ford, great race in the Pro Mazda. Let's see if we can strike out and get 3 great races. We got the MX-5, which is synonymous for putting on great races at pretty much every track. Such a fun car to drive. You know, I was driving a little bit earlier here at Road America just to get kind of an idea what these drivers are going to go through. I was practicing with a buddy, so I was able to practice the toe, and you know, it's fun. You're sliding around this very historic racetrack at Road America, and this has the potential for another great one.
Yeah, and you know, we talked at length earlier, Avery, about the changes that were made on the iRacing platform to the Spec Racer Fords to bring them up to the Spec Racer Ford Gen 3 spec. Well, there was a change also to the MX-5s last week, and that they moved over, much like the Spec Racer Fords, to a sequential gearbox, to a 6-speed gearbox, in line with the change that was made about a year ago in Global MX-5 Cup to what is known as the ND2, and a much beefed up transmission. That in real life, the 5-speed H-pattern box was known as somewhat of a weak spot for these cars. And so as of last week, we now have sequential transmissions here, and so we'll see how these drivers deal with that change and whether or not they have trouble coming up to speed, especially like for our drivers that have not had any practice time, whether or not they come up to speed with the changing ratios and what it takes, how many downshifts, how many upshifts you need to make here at Road America. While our drivers are now making their way down the kettle bottoms, wanted to talk about very quickly our sponsor of this race, and that is Driver61. They offer unique sim training and real-world coaching programs to take you to the podium at the fastest possible time. Driver61 offers a masterclass, which is a 4-week course helping drivers improve their technique and get it done as efficiently as possible, going over core techniques to aid both beginners and advanced drivers. And so you can find out more about Driver61 and the Driver61 Sim Racing Academy, which also includes one-on-one coaching. You can find out more about them by going to driver61.com. And again, I want to thank Driver61 for sticking with us here for seasons 1 and season 2. I hope that that partnership continues on for a very long time. As we have the pace car now bringing the field, bringing Mitchell Peak and his teammate Brennan Horn through the final corner, through 14, to complete this 4-mile marathon of a pace lap, pace car on the pit lane, as Mitchell Peak brings the field up the Road America straight, getting ready for that green flag. And let's see, we're waiting for it. There it is. Flag is in the air and moving down from the inside. We've got the 09 car of Jordy Fike. He's pushing his teammate Mitchell Peak past his other teammate Brendan Horn down the inside row here, as we then have, and look at this, sticking all the way to the inside, Reed Shannabrook in the number 14 machine. And right behind Shannabrook, we've got side by side Morgan Burkhardt, Dan McSelvey, and then we've got Jameson Huffman just stalking right back behind them with Remy Esperance as well. And there you go, great shot of the number 66 Frito Sport machine of Mike Taylor with Andrew Wozencroft right next to him, as our pole sitter Mitchell Peak leads Jordy Fike and Brennan Horn down the Moraine sweep, heading down towards turn 5 for the very first time, Avery.
Yeah, Mitchell Peak leading, like you said, leading that field. It's pretty much single file all the way through. You see, and the 311 gets into.
He gets into Wozencroft, and Wozencroft looks like he might have gotten into the wall. Yeah, you can see a lot of damage there. Wozencroft moves.
He lost a tire.
Yeah, comes all the way across. He probably doesn't know it, but he does not have a right front wheel at this point. And so it looks like Andrew Wozencroft's day is now done. Looks like Bryce Evans in the 311 as well as Dan McSelvey have made it back to the pits as well. Let's take a look at the replay here as our drivers come down into turn 5 for the very first time. And what exactly happened here? Oh, there you go. Looks like McSelvey came over, might have given a little tap to the 311. Oh, wow. And there we go. And so Logencroft goes around, and that was nasty. As let's jump back over now to our leaders as Peak and Fike now are coming down the Kettle Bottoms now, heading down towards Canada Corner for the very first time. We've got Brennan Horn in the 45, and now Morgan Burkhardt making a late move on Reed Shanabrook going into Canada Corner. He gets the move done and is going to be able to hold off Shanabrook as they come up through Canada Corner. And you can see Jameson Huffman sitting back there right behind him. We'll see if Huffman decides to try to draft on by Shanabrook when they come onto the Road America straight, but you can see how close things are there between those MX-5s, and sitting just a little bit behind Remy Esperance in that purple and white number 13 machine.
Well, there's the bump from Shanabrook. Gonna try to bump draft him.
Yeah, a little bit of a bump draft, trying to get Burkhardt up to our lead three, the three teammates of Peak, Fike, and Horn. And the eSport Racer drivers starting to move away just a little bit from the rest of the field here as we start lap number 2 from Road America.
Yep, they're starting to pull away a little bit, but Burkhardt is still in striking distance. He's been the bridesmaid. He wants to be the champ here at Road America, but you know, he's tried twice, and I got to give the guy credit. I mean, no practice, and anyone that does a triple duty, that's super impressive.
Well, you know, he's 15. He's out of school. What else does he have to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, might as well get on iRacing, plug in the wheel, and just let it rip. And that's
there
what
you
he's
go,
doing.
and let it go as Edgar Sancinelli makes the move on Mike Taylor. Mike Taylor, part of that first lap incident going into turn 5, but Sancinelli getting around his teammate there, and as they make their way through turn 6 and into the hurry downs. All right, let's jump back over in the battle for the lead there as we've got the 3 eSport Racer machines, and let's add Morgan Burkhardt into that battle. It's now a 4-car battle for the lead, not a 3-car battle. And look at the way they throw those cars into the carousel there, Avery. All the slip angle on entry that you just didn't see, obviously, with the Pro Mazdas or even with the Spec Racer Fords.
Yeah, they're definitely a whole different kind of race car, and they're so much fun to drive. You got to sling it around every single corner you can, and that's what you're seeing here. And take a look at Jordy Fike sitting behind Peak, and you know, Fike's had some bad luck recently, and he's trying to hope that turns around for him.
The runoffs for season 1, Zach Burke, who is not here racing with us tonight, he was your winner. Then we had Miles Crab, probably not Miles Crab, Ryan Maloney, also not here with us this evening, but Brennan Horn finished on the last step of the podium at the runoffs at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll see if he can either repeat or if he can move further up the podium, as he is dropping just a little bit off of our 2 leaders, Mitchell Peak and Jordy Fike, but you know, not all that far back, as looks like Peak might have run just a little bit wide. We'll jump back over now to the 2 Frito Sport machines. We've got Sancinelli and Mike Taylor working in lockstep, trying to make their way back up towards Remy Esperance in that purple and white number 13 machine, but you can see the gap just as the 2 Frito Sport racing machines come out of turn 3. Our first pack is going underneath the Cheesehead Bridge.
Yep, the Cheesehead Bridge. I tell you what, it's one of the cool things about Road America is you got some bridges to drive under, you got some hills to go up, and like Brennan Horn said in the Spec Racer Ford, he thinks there was some oil on the track there. It looks like it's pretty much cleaned up, the virtual oil. That is, but man, good run for Brendan Horn. He is down 2 spots, but just maintain a good pace. We're 6.5 minutes into this 25-minute race, so still plenty of time for him to catch up.
Yeah, and thank you, Dennis. Just put up on the screen a little bit of information about temperature and wind, and as these races have gone on, both the ambient air temperature as well as the track temperature have definitely risen here, which might affect the rear grip a little bit, and might affect how these cars handle at the end of this 25-minute race. We're now just about 7 minutes in, working on lap number 3, but a little bit of a surprise that as the day continues on, and running a little bit wide, Edgar Sancinelli, but does not drop a wheel into the grass there on the exit of the kink. But that's what happens when you turn in early at the kink. Things disappear awfully quickly for you as we jump now back up to the battle for the lead. And at least for the moment, Mitchell Peaky's got a little bit of breathing room now as Morgan Burkhardt trying to work over Jordy Fike here. And you'll notice that Burkhardt did get around Brennan Horn, so move Horn back to 4th in the number 45 Team eSport Racing Machine, and then back behind them about 3 car lengths back, we've got Reed Shannabrook and Jamison Huffman.
Yep, still a good battle here. It's all the way back there. You see, you can fit 7 cars in a blanket like we've seen in the Spec Racer Ford and the Pro Mazda. It's here today with the Mazda MX-5, and they want to finish off this runoff strong and this season strong. It's been a blast so far, Greg, and this race has not disappointed. And we go on board with Morgan Burkhardt. He wants to get that win. He hasn't yet won today, so we'll see if he's able to turn this around.
All right, Morgan Burkhardt, he now moves to the inside driver's left, trying to overtake Jordy Fike. And let's see who hits the brakes first. And all 3 of our leaders get together. Burkhardt to the inside, Jordy Fike, and the driver that has the most issue there, Mitchell Peak, our leader, who is all the way to the outside. He gets tapped by his teammate, goes off into the gravel trap, and he now retires to the pits. Mitchell Peak finishes 10th in the championship, and unfortunately he's not going to finish out this race. Let's take a look at the replay as our drivers come down the moraine sweep into turn number 5, and Burkhardt shoves the car all the way down to the inside, and there was just nowhere for Mitchell Peak to go.
No room for him, and you hate to see it.
Yeah, just not anything he could do. And when I say that there was nowhere for him to go, there was actually a lot of room for Mitchell Peak, driver's right, to go to the outside there. I just don't think he expected it to already be too wide underneath him. As now we jump back to the battle for the lead. We've got, right now, we've got Reed Shannabrook and Jordy Fike side by side. Shannabrook to the inside. Shannabrook gets her. And it looks like Morgan Burkhardt gets into the back of Jordy Fike. And there we go. And is that Burkhardt or is that Jamison Huffman? No, that was Jamison Huffman in the number 89 machine getting into Jordy Fike. Let's take a look here as we have another replay going down in the Canada corner. There we go. We've got Burkhardt drivers left, and there it is Jamison Huffman, who moved up to 3rd. He gets into the back of Jordy Fike. Those 2 drivers go through as now our new leader, Reed Shannabrook. Morgan Burkhardt moves up to 2nd. Remy Esperance in the number 13 machine. He is running in 3rd, and here we go. Going down the front straight to start lap number 5. Morgan Burkhardt comes right across the nose of Reed Shannabrook. Now let's take a look as we've got Brennan Horn and Jamison Huffman. This is now the battle for 5th, as Jordy Fike has managed to get clear of Huffman and is all by himself. It doesn't look as though Jordy Fike got all that much damage, but now Brennan Horn giving the chrome horn to Jamison Huffman coming through turn 3. And looks like the eSport Racer guys not all that happy with the contact we're seeing here as Reed Shannabrook gets back to the lead with Burkhardt 2nd, Esperance in 3rd.
Yeah, you know, a little bit of contact, tempers can kind of flare a little bit, and that happens in racing, and we've seen a little bit happen today. But man, we're on board with we're just on board with Brennan Horn, and still a good run from Brennan. Yeah, down 4 spots, but big shout out to Remy Esperance up in 3rd, and Morgan Burkhardt up 5 positions and up 6 positions for Remy in that 13 car. He wants to get up to that victory lane. And has a good opportunity with, you know, Burkhardt and Shannabrook. And Shannabrook's kind of showing the way, but with that number 14 with a bunch of different shapes on his car.
That is a neat livery there. All right, as our drivers come through the kink, and you can see there what it looks like when 2 drivers are pretty much nose to tail through the kink. Burkhardt now moves to the inside, drivers right as they make the run down the Marine Sweep, or probably make the run down Kettle Bottoms, going down into Canada Corner, and Burkhardt retakes the lead. And Brennan Horn, oh, and you can see, look how loose that car is for Horn coming through there. He's got, you know, he's got a little bit of damage. It looks like all the eSport Racer cars got some damage, and we know that Jamison Huffman's car has some damage as well. Not optimal handling for any of those cars. Oddly, the driver that seems to have stayed fairly clean, Avery, even after he had gone 3 wide with the 2 eSport Racer machines 2 laps ago, Morgan Burkhardt looks to have a pretty darn good handling car after all of that.
Oh yeah, I'd have to agree. Really, with the little bit of damage, and he's just driving the wheels off that thing. And man, Shannabrook, Burkhardt side by side, and Esperance just sitting there waiting.
Yeah, so in qualifying, Esperance definitely didn't have the pace of our original leaders, but you know, both Burkhardt and Shannabrook not able to run away from Esperance at this point. And for, you know, every single time that Burkhardt and Shannabrook go side by side into a corner, that's going to keep Esperance right in the game there. I think the challenge is going to be, when does Esperance, you know, stop watching, and when does he engage? And we'll see here probably in the next lap or 2 where he goes to try and take his spot here in the lead, as we've got Burkhardt leading Shannabrook through turn 6, and as they came under the Corvette bridge, just as the 2 teammates, the 2 eSport Racing machines there of Jordy Fike and Brennan Horn, a little bit further back, I think, than they expected after having started off in the top 4 here. They're quite a ways back from our lead trio.
Yeah, just a, you know, pretty good little gap with the race it is. On fire with Horn and Fike. The teammates are racing each other hard. We're almost 15 minutes into this race, so about a little over 10 minutes to go. So it's starting to get down to crunch time.
All right, just got word that Joaquin Effinger had an off a little bit further back in the pack. Yeah, and you can see these 2 guys, they are absolutely throwing these cars around. You notice when they came out of turn 6 before, both of them dropping wheels. I thought we were going to see a replay of the Spec Racer Ford race where we had the car go all the way off into the wall, drivers left, but they both managed to recover pretty darn well. But you can see here, Horn running very, very wide. He's got a very loose car.
Yeah, just driving the wheels off of it, and that's what makes these cars super fun to drive. I still like that Shannabrook car. It reminds me of those toys with the shapes that you got to fit in when, you know, you give the little kids. So all the different shapes, I love it. See if he can make the pass here.
And you know, for all the talk of Brennan Horn having a very loose car, you know, I guess loose is fast, because Brennan Horn just ran the fastest lap time of the race at a 2:34.18. That is almost 0.6 of a second faster than either Burkhardt's or Shannabrook's fast times. Of course, you know, Shannabrook and Burkhardt have spent most of their time side by side, so not a big surprise. But you know, maybe Fike and Horn can run down this lead trio as Burkhardt moves to the inside. Drivers left as they come down the Marine sweep into turn 5. And Burkhardt is clear of Shannabrook before they get into the break zone here. And Burkhardt takes over the lead.
Yeah, Burkhardt in that lead, but, you know, we've seen it before. Just because you make the pass right now for a lead doesn't mean you're going to have it for a long time. And there's Sansernelli and trying to run down Mike Taylor. They had a little bit of issues earlier in the race and put on a really good effort running in 7th place, well, in 7th and 6th place. And they're just digging.
The two teammates running a nice clean race here. All right, coming into the carousel, let's see here. Both of our leaders, both Burkhardt and Shannabrook, taking very tight entries, letting the car then track out on exit. And Esperon still sitting in the game there. And as long as he stays that close, he's going to have the benefit of the draft pretty much all the way around this 4-mile, 14-turn course. All right, Shannabrook pops to the inside here, under braking going into Canada. And our two leaders, oh, more contact there as Burkhardt gets into the left rear quarter of Reed Shannabrook. Shannabrook doesn't seem to be all that fazed by it. He continues on. Drop Burkhardt now back into 2nd. Esperon still sitting there in 3rd.
Yeah, Esperon still in the, you know, in a good spot. I mean, you know, you're sitting 3rd, you know, just kind of hanging on with the draft and maybe try to make a move in a couple laps. We're 18 minutes into this race, so the time is starting to go down. It's almost time for the last couple laps here, and see Burkhardt able to pull away a little bit from Shannabrook from real tight into turn 1.
Yeah, and you saw there that Esperance just dropped right off. I don't think he was all that comfortable sticking right onto the rear bumper of Shannabrook on the draft going down into the braking zone. He backed out quite a bit, but again, is able to make that ground back up as both Horn and Fike, the two eSport racer machines, they are continuing to close things up just a little bit. That last time by, both Horn and Fike almost 2 full seconds, 1.9 seconds faster than our lead trio. So they are closing things down, but time is starting to run down as well, as we only now have 6 minutes remaining here at Road America tonight for the eSports Racing League runoffs and our Spec Miata race. So just a few more laps to go. These drivers, they're turning in 2.5-minute laps. So, you know, we're probably looking this next time by 2 laps to go, as we were watching the Frito Sport racing machines, and it looks like Edgar Sanchinelli, his nice clean race, well, it's now over as he goes off coming out of turn 5. Let's jump back to that battle for the lead though, Avery.
Yep, it's still Burkhardt, Shannabrook, Esperance, and Burkhardt's able to pull away by just a little bit, but Shannabrook's still in that tow, and that should help push them up, or pull them up to the battle for, you know, make it a really good battle for the lead. 20 minutes down, 5 to go. It's getting close to the end, Greg.
It certainly is, Avery, here as we have our 3 leaders now making their way down the kettle bottoms towards Canada. Shannabrook, once again, he pops to the inside, nowhere near close enough to affect the pass. He gets back in line, opens up that arc, and doesn't lose a lot of speed or a lot of ground to Burkhardt as they're now coming through. Now, you know, remember, you know, Burkhardt has lost 2 races tonight just on the drag race, coming out of 14 onto the front straight. I'm sure he doesn't want to do that a 3rd time, but Shannabrook's going to have to stay very close to Morgan Burkhardt coming out of 14 if he wants to take the final win here tonight, as they go and cross the stripe with just over 3 minutes, about 3 minutes 15 seconds remaining here. Pardon me, actually 4 minutes 15 seconds, pardon me. And so we should have probably 2 more laps here after our drivers complete this lap as they make their way around. And here they come, Horn and Fike. And again, no fighting from either of these two drivers as they're trying to get up into that battle for the lead here. And you know, currently they're sitting 1 and 2 positions off of the podium. I'm sure they'd like to make it a 5-car battle for the win as the time and the laps are running down here from Road America. Reed Shannabrook having gotten around Morgan Burkhardt, he's your new leader. Then we've got Remy Esperance sitting back in 3rd, just kind of sitting back there, biding his time.
Yeah, you know, and we haven't really seen the battle coming out of the final corner like we have with the the SRF and the Pro Mazda. So honestly, Greg, I think in this situation at Road America with this MX-5, I want to be the lead car.
That may very well be. The thing is with the Mazdas, as opposed to, I think, the Spec Racer Fords, or certainly the Pro Mazdas, is when you step out from the draft in these cars, it really is like hitting a brick wall. And whatever pace you had or you thought you had, it suddenly just seems to go away when you pull up the side, and it turns out to be more of a, like here, as Burkhardt tries to get by Shannabrook going into Canada, that it turns into more of a braking exercise rather than using the draft exercise here. But Morgan Burkhardt, he does take the lead. And we believe that the drivers will be getting the 1 to go this time by. The white flag should be in the air when they come up the Road America straight over towards the media center and that starter stand. And now side by side, we've got Shannabrook and Burkhardt. And here's a good little test, Avery, for what it would be like as the white flag is in the air. We're on the last lap. Reed Shannabrook at the line was the lead car, and now here you go. Remy Esperance trying to pick his horse, who he's going to try and push through, because he's been still just sitting back in 3rd, being very passive, letting Shannabrook and Burkhardt do all the hard work. He just gets pulled along by the big hole that the 2 cars ahead of him that are going side by side put in the air. Let's see if Esperance tries to make a move. It's going to be a little hard because both Burkhardt and Shannabrook right in the middle of the track. There's no open lane for the number 13, and the 13 doesn't seem to be willing to push one ahead. Let's see now, as Shannabrook is probably going to try and push Morgan Burkhardt down to the inside a little bit, and as they go through side by side, Burkhardt to the inside. He had a little bit of an advantage. He's going to have a big advantage coming into turn 6 as they come underneath the Corvette bridge. Shannabrook now falls back in line, falls back into 2nd, Esperance in 3rd. But Avery, look how close the 2-team eSport racing machines are getting.
Oh, they are getting close. And I tell you what, if there's maybe 1 more lap to go, they'd be able to catch up and make that pass. But super good effort for Horn and Fike just to get back up into striking distance.
Yeah, without a doubt here, as Burkhardt and Shannabrook come through the carousel for the very last time. Esperance about a half a car length back. Time is running out for Esperance if he's going to do anything other than finish in 3rd as our drivers come through the kink and down the kettle bottoms. Let's see if Esperance tries to make a move. He's a little bit too far back as Burkhardt now tries to go down the inside of Shannabrook. Shannabrook tries to cover. Oh, and there's contact between our 2 leaders as they go through, and Shannabrook, he runs wide coming out of Canada corner. It is now Shannabrook and Morgan Burkhardt in the battle for the lead, and Esperance has the position for the moment. Now Burkhardt moves to the inside as they come out of Bill Mitchell going into turn 14, and as they come through the final corner onto the Road America straight, is Esperance going to be close enough? Shannabrook goes wide. Is he going to be able to hold on to 3rd, or is Brennan Horn going to get by him as they come up the Road America straight? And it looks like Morgan Burkhardt, who finished 2nd 2 times in a row, will take the win here in Mazda MX-5. Morgan Burkhardt is your Runoffs champion in Ray Esports Racing's Runoffs tonight with Remy Esperance finishing in second. Horan does get around Shannabrook. He will finish in third. Shannabrook fourth. Jordy Fike. And now let's look at the Frito Sport race here. Mike Taylor in the 66 car. He will finish in sixth, right behind Jordy Fike. Edgar Sanchinelli in the number 257 machine. He will finish in seventh. There's Joe Camilleri in the 06 machine, right behind them. He will finish in eighth. And we'll see, I believe Casey is the next driver making his way up. Yeah, here he comes up the hill underneath the starter stand, takes the checkered flag. John Casey will finish in ninth. Wayne Buttermore, there he is in the number 73 machine. He will finish in 10th.
And we had another side-by-side finish.
Wow.
I mean, Burkhardt and Esperance at the finish, and that's what you're gonna get. You get this series with these cars. You get side-by-side finishes, and that was
That was a spectacular finish, Avery. And Shannabrook, he did what he had to do. A shame going into Canada that those two drivers who had run a pretty darn clean race almost for the entire 25 minutes that the two of them got together going in about this evening's race. But again, we're going to give them a couple more seconds. In the meantime, we should let you all know we should be back in a few weeks, hopefully with season 3 of the Ray Esports Racing League. As we've mentioned earlier, once again, going to have 3 different classes. We're going to have the MX-5s. We're going to have the Spec Racer Fords, and a small change. We're going to be moving away from the Pro Mazdas and going to the Formula Vs. And, again, Avery, everything that I've seen so far, all the racers across many different leagues that have gotten behind the wheel of the Formula Vs, they've absolutely loved them. And it will make for some great racing, as opposed to the Pro Mazdas where, maybe the draft didn't play into it all that much. Formula V, and these are cars that have less than 80 horsepower. They rely very heavily on the draft. There's a reason why those cars, they look like they were bullets just shot out of the barrel. And they work very well in the draft, and they have lots and lots of passing. All right, so Avery, I think at this point we might have to call it, call a spade, and I don't think anybody wants to talk to us anymore tonight. So let's wrap things up here from Road America. Again, a great evening here of Runoffs action to wrap everything up for season number 2 of the Ray Esports Racing League. For Avery McDonald, for Dennis Branch back behind the scenes, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we'll be back here in just a few weeks.